Hi there, I'm Shantae, a mom of four, and today I'm going to be making you one of my favorite simple, comforting weeknight soups. I made this Zuppa Toscana in about half an hour, but you can even simmer it for another half an hour or even longer if you would like to make it even more flavorful. I have all of my ingredients set out here for you, but I will also make a note of the entire recipe in the description box. As a mom, I know that we're really busy. Usually I'm trying to cook as fast as I can, but today I had a little helper with me that wanted to sit next to me while I chop my vegetables. All right, let's get to chopping. So I'm going to start off with my half a yellow onion. Just dice those up into small pieces, and then we are going to get on with our yellow potatoes. I'm using about 9 of the small ones. You can use more or less if you would like. I like to dice these into about 1-inch cubes. If you do them smaller, they might get a little bit too mushy in the soup, so I keep them fairly big. One of the great things about just making a soup for a weeknight meal is that you can add anything that you want. If you don't have potatoes, you can add noodles. If you don't have kale, you could always do spinach. So now I'm going to be adding 4 tablespoons of butter into my 6-quart pot. I am just going to be sauteing this for a couple minutes until my onions get translucent, and then add in my mild Italian sausage. I think normally people use about 1 pound of Italian sausage with this soup, but I'm using 1.5. Sometimes I'll even use 2 pounds if I want even more protein in the soup. But once you get all of your meat in there, you're just going to be cooking this down until the meat is browned. One thing I forgot to mention really quick is that we are cooking on medium heat, but once you add the broth or the stock, you can up it to high. All right, now we're going to start building up that flavor profile. I'm adding black pepper, salt, garlic powder, and Italian seasoning. Honestly, I don't like to put seasoning measurements on here because, season with your heart. I am probably an over seasoner, to be honest with you, but I love a lot of flavor. So just season as you wish. So give this a good mix and then keep on cooking until the meat is completely browned. All right, once your Italian sausage is completely browned, it's time to add in the chicken broth or chicken stock. I'm just using one I got from the store. It has about 4 cups of broth, and I'm using 2 of these. Some people like to add 6 cups of broth and then water, but I'm just using the complete 8 cups as chicken broth. Once we have our broth all in there, we're going to up the heat to high and then make sure it is at a boiling point, and then we're going to put our potatoes in. Okay, be careful when you're adding your potatoes in. They can splish and splash around a lot, so just easy on in, okay? At this step, I am going to be adding a little bit more seasoning, just the exact same ones I used before. If you think that you have enough seasoning already, that's totally fine, but we have used 8 cups of broth, which is a lot in my opinion, so just a little bit more seasoning for us. So once I have all of my seasonings in there, one more quick mix and then put on your lid. I'm going to be simmer/boiling this for about 10 minutes, and then I will be checking a couple potatoes with a fork to make sure my fork can go in there smoothly, and that's how we know it's done. In our house, we also like to pair soup with bread, so if you were at the store, grab an Italian or a French loaf to pair on the side with this. $3.50 for about 10 or 15 minutes, super easy. All right, checking up on those potatoes. They are tender enough, so we are going to go on to our next step. You will see I have a pot of boiling water right next to me. We do have some picky eaters in the house, so I'm just going to be boiling up some spaghetti noodles and using those with the soup. But back to our soup, I'm now going to be adding my kale. The bag said about 3 cups, so I'm using almost all of it here. You can add more or less if you would like to. And for the final step of the soup is just us adding in our heavy cream. Here I'm using 16 ounces. What I really love about this soup is that even though we are using a heavy cream for that richness, it never feels super heavy in your stomach. It's also a perfect one-pot meal if you have a big family. It fed our family of 6, and we even had some leftovers. Just to put a finishing touch on the soup, I added some red chili flakes, or you can just add these in your bowl if no one else likes heat. And our soup recipe is complete. So you could eat this right now, or if you have a little bit of time to wait, have this simmer on low for half an hour to an hour. It just really enhances all of those flavors. But I'm going to be starting on my spaghetti noodles now for those picky eaters to eat on the side of the soup. Don't forget about the bread in the oven. Once it's cooled off a little bit, you can slice it and then serve it with the side of butter. If you have a noodle eater in your house, just put some spaghetti noodles in there and then a little bit of the broth and hopefully a little bit of the meat and kale. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and you will try to make this Zupa Toscana soup for one of your easy weeknight recipes. If you are looking for simple recipes, meal planning, and gentle resets for moms, you have come to the right channel. I hope you stick around. Have a great day.